government and starts drawing funding for that child or those children, which they thereafter use to build their empires bigger and bigger and bigger. You read the newspapers recently, and in the last 5 to 10 years, you'll also see numerous cases where children are suffering absolute incredulous harm, neglect, abuse, and many, many times, I'm talking like 800 children, not 5 or 10, 800 plus children are dying in Children's Aid Society's care. For the very simple reason that it's not care. It's human trafficking. These children are brought into the system and used as instruments of profit. And Children's Aid grows from that moment on, building these big marvelous buildings, similar to one that's making fun of us with the brown coating on the edges. Unbelievable what's going on. People don't know anything about this. They're completely ignorant to it, but it goes on and on and on. Complicit judges are used to carry out these horrendous acts against Canadian citizens and the like. And nobody knows anything about this. Because it's all kept on the hush-hush, and there's all kinds of administrative meetings and activists and everything. You wouldn't believe what goes on behind closed doors with the lawyers from every party. You think that you're represented fairly, legally, and responsibly by an attorney here. You'd be surprised. You'd be absolutely flabbergasted to see what goes on in these courts. And when parents stand up and try to say, hey, wait a second, I never said that, or that never happened, or that's a lie, what happens thereafter is the judge, the lawyer, the parent's lawyer informs them clearly, if you're not happy, then I'll just walk off the case and they'll take your kids today. That's very sad for a parent who's loving and caring. We're not here today to support parents who are abusive, harmful, or neglectful towards their children. Such people do exist. No one's saying that they don't exist, because they do exist. But they're a very limited minority in society. I would say anywhere from 7 to 12% of children in care as we speak are actually in any kind of real danger. The rest of them are being exploited for profit and to create budgets and to create systems of mass destruction within the Child Protective Services industry all across Canada. 800 children died in Calgary in a period of approximately 6 years. And all these children, believe it or not, were being protected by the Government of Canada. Who's the Government of Canada? Stephen Harper Inc. That's who the Government of Canada is. The federal government is getting away with murder because according to the United Nations in Geneva, the only people who are responsible for these acts against humanity and crimes against humanity is what's called and referred to as the, quote, state party. The state party is the federal party, the federal government of Canada. So as long as these goons and racketeers, as long as they can continue to slough this off on a provincial level and separate it from being the jurisdiction of the federal government of Canada, these atrocities will carry on, will continue, and will be ongoing. And children will continue to suffer and die within these systems of bullcrap. So we're out here today to try to educate the public and let the public know about what's going on. Inside this very building, as we speak, if it's not right now, it will be in the next couple of minutes, there's a wonderful ceremony of the opening of the courts. Who are the courts? Who are these people? What are these people? Well, these are the people who take these children into care. These are the people who carry out, by way of judicial powers, who rubber stamp the recruiting of these children into these systems of mass destruction that are Canada-wide as we speak. These are the people who are hiding in this building, who have all kinds of judicial authority. Some of these are the production. These are the people who are responsible for these children dying all over Canada. Because there's nothing you can do. They're judges. And once they make their decision and you miss the 30-day appeal, you just have to stand and sit and bear it. Because there's nothing you can do from that point? And most of the time, your lawyer will do everything possible to make sure that that 30-day passes as quickly as possible without you making so much as even a mouse fart. And this goes on purposely here in Canada because it's a $1 trillion industry Canada-wide. These agencies are building empires upon empires upon empires on the lives and the futures of our children. And it is sickening, it is unacceptable, and in my personal opinion, it is bloody well criminal in nature to do what's going on. And thereafter to deny it, to say it's not happening. Of course it's happening. Where else in the world do you see 800 children dying when they're protected by the federal government? Where in this entire world would you see 800 kids dead who are supposed to be protected by the government? You don't even see that in Iraq. You won't see that in Iran. You certainly won't see it happening in Syria unless they get killed by our Canadian bombs, of course. And you won't see it anywhere in the world. It doesn't happen. But it's happening here in Canada. And that's only one province, Alberta. Another 800 died here in Ontario. How are these children dying? Is it possible that the government is taking out insurance policies on them just before they croak? Is someone getting paid? Is the government harvesting their organs once they die and selling them off? What the hell is going on? And why are the people just ignoring it? Why are citizens just ignoring this and letting it go on? These are kids. These are vulnerable, fragile, helpless, defenseless children that people are exploiting for profit, are exploiting for money, and they know damn well what they're doing when they do it. They pretend not to know. They play all kinds of administrative games, communications back and forth. It's just a big mockery. It's a big play in court. All the players know what they're doing. They all know what they're saying on the record. They make it sound like it's professional. It's a bloody farce. If they were concerned about the child's best interest, children would not be dying. Children would not be dying in care. There wouldn't be any care, as a matter of fact, because the help would come at the front line of the situations. But how could you possibly help a family in need when they're not really in need? When the whole situation has been created. Another word, the act of psychosema. It's all over the internet. When social services collude together, their social service workers collude together to create an imaginary situation where they pretend, and of course the complicit judge is more than ready to stamp his hammer down on that desk and say, this child is in danger. Of course, they create situations by playing with words, by putting this word here and that word there and another word in another place, and all of a sudden you read that paragraph or you read that sentence and you say, oh my God, this child's ready to die with this family. They're in so much danger. But the truth of the matter is, there was no danger at all. It was an argument, perhaps, between the mother and the father. I don't know. When I was growing up, I've seen plenty of those. We all do. It's called life. It's called living. It's called the ups and downs of a family. And that's what families are all about. Growing and learning and moving forward. Not by making a stupid mistake, using your right foot for walking, getting up out of bed, putting your right foot on the ground first instead of your left foot, and having your kid seized. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Then when your kid is seized and you're walking around mesmerized, what the hell's going on? Then they mislead you for months, for years. They never tell you the reason behind the kidnapping, behind the legalized abduction. They never tell you, because if they did tell you, you'd be able to solve the problem. You'd be able to bring information forth and show that this is a simple legal abduction. Legal abduction being done because it's done by the courts, because it's done by attorneys, because it's done by people who play with words. If you had the information, you'd be able to dispute it. You'd be able to bring other information forth, facts that would show that it's not true. So they keep lying to you and misleading you, coming to court and committing perjury in front of a judge who doesn't give a shit, because they don't care either. They're happy. All they want is to hear lies in their court so that they can thereafter fruit of those lies and kidnap those kids. That's what it's about. Kidnapping children, lawyers without conscience, and it's going on all over Canada. And they're all getting rich. And they're all going to be inside this ceremony today, having all kinds of fun, hugging themselves, kissing each other, and having all kinds of fun, while the deaths of these children carry on. And do they care? Absolutely not. They don't care. Their bank accounts keep growing. They keep growing. They keep going on vacation and keep eating great foods while these kids are dying. So I personally am sickened by what's going on, and I really, really would hope that the public is listening to what I'm saying, because I'm not out here just for the fun of it. I'm out here telling the truth. I'm out here talking about these kids who don't have a voice anymore because they're dead. Because they have been harmed, abused, and neglected right under the care of this wonderful C.P.S, Child Protective Services, that is nothing but a massive farce to make money and to grow empires and to hide those funds in vacations, yachts, and all kinds of SUVs and all kinds of other bullshit that nobody really cares about. Because I care about a kid. I care about children. I care about the life of that children, and I care about the development of that child and the personal security of that child, who cannot defend themselves in the eyes of these goddamn monsters who keep knocking them off. Enough is enough. People have to stand up, people have to get on board, and you have to do something to stop these animals. Because if you don't, nobody will. And they've been doing it for years and years and years now. And I'm so happy. Oh my God, I am so happy to be out here today and to tell the truth here in this wonderful little square so that these people can hear me. I hope they hear me anyway, because I am telling you the reality of the situation and what is going on. 5 years ago, I didn't know any about this crap. Been working in human rights for about 12 years, doing what I can to better society. I knew nothing about what was going on 5 years ago, and if you'd have asked me what's going on with these agencies, I would have said, well, they help children. They're there for the children. They support children. They save kids who are in danger. Huh. After 5 years of watching what these animals do, they are nothing but goddamn criminals who are profiting off the lives of our kids and your kids' kids. And it keeps going on and on and on. And something has to be done. How come not one attorney has gone to the Supreme Court of Canada yet? How many years have gone by? How come not one attorney has gone to the Supreme Court of Canada and gotten the jurisprudence and ended all this lunacy? We're talking about thousands and thousands upon thousands of children who are lying dead, crippled, burned to death, scarred forever, psychologically fucked up. That's what's going on. They're feeding them drugs. More psychotropic drugs are fed to children than Heinz has bloody pickles. It's insane. That's how they keep them quiet, because they need to keep them in the system because they're money-making materials. They're being exploited. The United Nations definition of human trafficking is the exploitation of a human being in a manner that otherwise would not be occurring. These children would not be in care if these people did not go to court and commit criminal acts, lying under oath, for example, giving evidence that they know to be untrue and lies, but nobody, absolutely nobody is stopping them because they're feeding this marvelous, corrupt, just absolutely screwed up system. And these kids keep dying. And I'm like 1,000,000% certain that if anyone listening to me right now in society, if anyone was sure about what I'm saying and knew that it was actually true, and I know it's true because I've seen it, but if any one of you knew that what I was saying is true, you would stand up. You would stand up to these criminals and you would say, what the hell is wrong with you? And I don't know how many times that I have gone to meetings with families and I have sat down with these people. And I'm telling you, I'm not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist either, and maybe I'm not the smartest person in the world, but when I sit down in front of an individual and I'm talking to that individual and I ask them a question, very simple question like why, what is your concerns with this family, and they look away from me and start engaging with the wall and talking to the wall about the temperature or the paint, you know what? Yeah, I have a lot of concerns about that person's mental health. But it doesn't matter.